Dillan Fernando stepped into the role of CEO at Tracker on 1 July 2025, bringing global leadership experience and a strong background in growth and turnaround strategy. As Tracker enters a new chapter, we chat to Dillan about his plans, leadership style, and what's next for a brand that's been a little quiet lately. Hi, Dillan. It's great to chat to you, and thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
I think let's start where you just give us a quick intro into who you are and what your experience is. What do you bring to the Tracker table?
So, from a business perspective, been leading large global organizations throughout the last 25 to 30 odd years. Had the ability, fortunately or unfortunately, to travel globally, live in various countries and continents. Had the ability, as you've mentioned, fundamentally to do a lot of turnaround work to improve organizations and be part of a couple of very large global organizations over the last 25 odd years.
Have you ever been in a tracking environment?
That's a super question.
I know tracking is a lot more than just tracking, but yeah.
But I think the question is the right one. The answer is yes. Fundamentally, about 7, 8 years ago, I agglomerated a business of 7 different companies into one. And fundamentally, that was very similar to what Tracker are doing here in terms of monitoring, not just from a monitoring of assets, but a monitoring of vehicles, monitoring of people, the ability to get data out to those large companies we were monitoring. So very familiar with what Tracker is doing here and very similar to what I've done in the past.
So, what attracted you to the role of CEO at Tracker, and what does this appointment mean to you personally and professionally?
What attracted me to Tracker? The ability to work for one of South Africa's best known organizations. We are as ubiquitous as Coke or as Hoover. So we don't talk necessarily about brand names. We talk about Tracker and tracking. So that itself is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
I was also very attracted to the people that we have here. In my interview process, met a lot of them, and I have to say, and I say it quite regularly actually, the people that I've met and I work with every day, I would have employed through many of the global businesses that I've run. Bright, dynamic, unbelievably passionate. I can teach a lot and train a lot and pay for a lot of in terms of education, but I can't teach or train the passion that people have here at Tracker. What's it meant to be personally to be here? For me to be back in just one of the greatest countries on earth, in South Africa, to be back on a continent which I think has been underrated for so long and continues to be underrated. It means that I am back in a country where my wife is South African and never wanted to leave.
Okay.
So in about 8 years ago, when I had to leave after COVID to go back to the US, my wife and kids stayed. The 3 of them are proudly South African. They won't go. They did, we traveled the world until they were at a certain age, and then the 3 of them just said, "We want to stay," and I wanted them to have a proper home life where we have incredible friends, incredible family, where people truly understand what having a family is about. And unfortunately, I had to travel for those 5 or 6 years in different global locations, and I had the chance to come home. And here I am. So Tracker has meant so much more to me than working with an incredible group of people and an incredible company. It's meant that I have come home to family in a country I love.
Oh, I love that, and I cannot agree with you more about South Africa. I have not traveled the world like you, but what I have heard and I've seen in the little travels that I have done is that you are so spot on with our country and what we as a country have to offer. So yeah, it's so great to hear. Your background includes quite impressive work in business turnarounds, which is always a tough thing, strategic growth and cultural integration across different markets. How do you plan to translate that experience into your leadership at Tracker?
So for me, I've always believed leading comes from the front. Um, Leadership is doing the simple things and doing it well. It's articulating a story and communicating that story over and over and over again. It's the ability to have great people around you. And I've already mentioned, I think the people here are just incredible, and to be able to motivate that story to help them move forward. Um, the turnaround discussion, if I may, it's an interesting one. Tracker is an unbelievably profitable company. There's a space and a place for us in South Africa. There's a space for our competitors here. The SaaS market is growing, software as a service market is growing, as is HaaS. And it's not really a turnaround story here. It's about doing the basics correctly. It's about putting in the foundations and growing on an already unbelievably strong base.
In a recent article, you've mentioned putting customers at the heart of everything. And we are in an industry where the customer is what it's all about. So what will this look practically within the Tracker operations and service offering going forward?
So customers are at the heart of everything we do. The day we forget that customers pay our salaries, keep us in business, enable us to be part of the South African economy, is the day where we fail. From an operational perspective, therefore, we've had to change the way we look at the customer base, not just from a product perspective, but from a partnership perspective, from who we are and what we're trying to do. Remember, Tracker is not just about looking after an asset. It's not about recovering a car, which we do incredibly well, which we do every day, and which we have a team which is just an industry leader in the tracking space. But it's also about looking after the person. It's about looking after the family. It's about making sure that should anything happen, we look after holistically the vehicle, the person, the family, the total entity in terms of who a family group is. So we have to be operationally excellent in how we perform, not just for making sure that we have the right products in the right place at the right time, but we have the right finance structure, that the costs are appropriate for the level of tracking that you need as a person, as a human being. And then should anything go wrong, we have the ability and the infrastructure to make sure that we can come and recover your vehicle, but more importantly, recover you and your family.
Yeah. Operational excellence is a key theme in your appointment. Can you share what operational excellence means to you and how it will shape your priorities in the first 6 to 12 months?
So I think that's a super question. If I look at what I've done in the last 2 months since I joined on the first, it's really about going back to basics. What do we do? Who are we? And what have we been great at? What are we known for in South Africa? If I can, on a personal example, speak about the fact that I've had a tracking system in my car for 24 years from Tracker.
Okay, that's good. I'm sure
incredible.
that was the first question they asked you when they interviewed you.
I know it was. Actually, it was one of the first. Do you know who Tracker is? Yes. It was quite an odd question, but yes, of course I do. So I started with that green button under the dashboard.
Oh,
and
wow,
my biggest concern was being short and driving so far forward in the seat that every time I get out of the car, I press the button with my knee and start the tracking system off. So I have truly been in love with this company and relied on this company for the last 24 odd years. So if I look at that as a personal example, what's important to me from an operational perspective, it's always to know that there's somebody there. It's the ability to, when I pick up the phone, that somebody answers the phone. If I have an issue, that issue is resolved quickly. If I have a product in the car, it's the right product. As I mentioned earlier, the right product for the right price point that I'm looking to actually install in. And it's about making sure that the business is staffed correctly. So if I may just spend 2 seconds on that particular comment.
Mm.
Tracker is employing exponentially at the moment. If you go to our website or go to the relevant recruitment agencies or the papers or wherever we employ, LinkedIn, for example, through social media, we are employing exponentially. There are probably 100 open positions for the business in totality as of right now, right across the business. We do so many things well, but to meet our expansion plans, to meet where this company wants to go, we have to employ. And it's about employing strategically. It's not just a question of having numbers within the business. It's about having the right people in the right place to service our customers and to make sure that operational excellence that we have to back it up with is met every day.
What are some of those key roles that you are looking for, the key skills?
Customer service is imperative for us. The ability for our special projects teams to work in different areas. I'm not going to say a whole host about that, but we are looking for dedicated teams who are more than the excellent customer service folks that we have to do some special projects for us as well. We are looking for operational folks, so the ability to increase our Lilo portfolio, the ability for us to increase our tracking and our recovering portfolio is imperative. We are employing across South Africa. It's not just a location here in Randburg. So it's about being able to have people that can be on the spot when they're needed in that time of emergency. Some of the other key things we're doing, it's not just about having an excellent base of people. We are employing all the way through the organization. So our middle management teams are being strengthened as well. And of course, there are a couple of executive positions as we expand our business base that will come in. So right across the tracker portfolio,
Okay.
we are looking for people.
Cool. Tracker is already a household name, as you mentioned. What are your ambitions in terms of growth and innovation, both locally and possibly into other markets? And specifically want to focus on the innovations because tech changes so fast. What is your goal? What are your ambitions?
Again, another super question. I'm going to answer it in a slightly different way than you asked it, if I may.
Yeah.
Innovation is an interesting concept because there's a lot of companies out there that come up with a great idea, market it, sell it, but really don't have a marketplace for the idea. You're either too early or too late, or it's just not the right idea. We're taking a slightly different approach to innovation here at Tracker. There's a lot of market research going on at the moment. So if I talk about cameras, for example, what's important in the camera market? Is it a cost-effective price, or is it a camera that does everything from record your mileage to understand how the driver is driving? Is there a safety aspect that's behind that? Can the driver start the car, for example, with a breath test? Those are and those are standard products which we're developing and we can get into the market. But it's really about making sure that we understand what the customer wants, and that's what's driving innovation. We can all develop the next best thing. AI will play a part in this. The conversation around what does technology mean? How do we bring that into the marketplace? It's all relevant, but it's only relevant if you as a consumer want to use the product and can use the product.
Yeah.
Does it meet the needs of what you want to try and do? And I think rather than have this race where we're going to come up with the next best whiz bang that does everything and makes you coffee and walks the dogs in the morning as well, it's really a question about saying, what is it the customer wants and what's a benefit to them and how do we service that need?
I love that because I think so often we forget to ask the customer what they want, and we develop amazing products with no traction because it's of no use. So you are so spot on with that 100%. Dillan, you've led multicultural teams across various regions. How do you plan to approach talent development and leadership alignment within Tracker to foster both performance and collaboration? And I think skills transfer is a very critical component of this whole conversation.
So you've asked a question which is unbelievably close to my heart. I'm a massive proponent of promoting from within, where that's physically possible to do. I've mentioned to you that Tracker has a whole host of job applications and opportunities out in the marketplace at the moment. Where we have been able to fill those jobs internally, we've done it. Why is that terribly important to me? Because I already have a trained asset within the business that loves Tracker. You're here because you love it. If you don't
Yeah.
want to be here, I'm sure you'll do something different. The ability for me to take that person with the knowledge, the ability to run the systems, the ability to talk to people within the organization because they know everybody, and move them into an opportunity which gives them a chance to progress their careers, progress their ability to earn wealth, to have the ability to do other things, to propagate who we are as a decent, caring company is imperative to me. And that's the start. That's the baseline for me. Promote from within, promote great people, and make sure they have a pathway to my job. Because I want everybody in this organization to be the next CEO, if that's what they want to do. So you also asked about performance, the ability to drive that performance, and how we make sure that skills transfer is done. And again, that's a critically important part of
Yeah.
what we're doing. So Tracker does spend an awfully large part of its budget on educating and training people to get to that next place. And what I'm encouraging the company to do is, if you're in sales and you want to have a finance background, go and do a finance degree. Go and learn, and we will pay for you to go
Wow.
into the finance space. That said, you may not, after 2 years, say, gosh, I finished the course. I don't necessarily want to go into finance. That's a peculiar and particular skill. I'd love to go and try external sales, or I'd like to try and run a business, or I'd like to do operations. Great. I've already trained you to do something, and you've already shown competence in the fact that you've gone through the training process, and you now have an even more valuable skill that I can utilize should you decide to change within Tracker again. So I'm happy to keep paying, or I apologize, the business is happy to keep paying for learning, for the ability to stay with us as an organization and have a plethora of different skills that they can bring to bear for the benefit of the very large workforce that we have here.
That's amazing. Wow. Obviously, with the right accountability measures in place, right?
You can't grow what you can't measure. So absolutely with the right measurables in place.
Yeah.
And I think, forgive me, I'll expand upon that a little bit more if I may.
Mm.
It's that 101 behavior that I've talked about previously in this conversation. There has to be goals set. There has to be aggressive goals set. We want to grow. People here want growth.
Yeah.
So they're not frightened by the conversations that we're having. I think they've been waiting for it for quite a while. But they do know that that involves being measured. But you can talk about a performance culture, but if you're not rewarding based on the performance, it's nothing but a set of words.
Yeah.
So they're also delighted to see what we're rolling out in terms of that performance culture. Go above your measurement stake, and of course, then you're being rewarded for doing that. So it's a very apt question that you ask.
Oh, well, that sounds all really exciting. So, Dillan, as you look ahead, what do you see as the most exciting opportunities and perhaps the biggest challenges for tracking the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
I think the opportunities for growth are very large here, not just in South Africa, but in sub-Saharan Africa in totality. Does that mean that's part of our strategy? Not yet. We haven't really espoused where we want to be over the next few months. I think we've got apologies. We have a very good idea of what we want to do. We've just got to make sure that there's buy-in from our stakeholders, both at a board level and at a company level. We have to have the right people in the right place to be able to do the things we want to do. So I'm truly excited about our growth potential. It's not an aggressive head-to-head with the competitors. South Africa is large enough where we can grow our SaaS business, we can grow our HaaS business, because fundamentally we talk about tracking, but the technology aspects of what we do is also critically important. I also believe in the country. I truly do. Where I was 25 years ago coming into Africa and coming to South Africa for the first time, meeting my wife, is not where South Africa is right now. We
Mm.
have just an unbelievable group of people who are two generations, I'm sad to say, younger than I am, and a generation younger than I am. I have met some of the most dynamic, brightest people I've met anywhere in the world. And I think they will take South Africa through to a different perspective and different generation. Um, so I'm really quite excited about the company. I'm quite excited about where the country's going. Um, from as many countries as I've lived in, you can always talk yourself down. The trick is doing the great things, doing the simple things, and pushing yourself upwards. And I think we'll get there. I really believe we'll get there. What am I concerned about? Do you know, it's a great question, but I'm not actually concerned about a whole host of things. I can talk about the economy. I can talk about geopolitical situations. We can talk about tax rates in the States versus. We can talk about all that. I can't affect those decisions. If we do the simple things well, and we continue to do the simple things well, have a great product, a brand name which is second to none in the industry, understand how and when and why we're servicing great customers, and be part of their transition and walk through into Tracker into something different, into a larger growing organization, we will succeed. And we're succeeding now. So I can't affect, I can talk about a whole host of negatives, but I think that's superfluous. If we do the simple things well, we are going to be successful.
I love it. I love your positive attitude towards everything and towards life, and that you are really solution driven and not looking for the challenge, the problems. And we all know there are challenges. But it's when you focus on the positive things and the solutions, right? That's making the difference.
I
So
totally agree. It's totally solution driven. It's
yeah,
what is out there and how do we help.
yeah, 100%. Lastly, Dillan, your message to FAnews, to the FAnews audience who compose of a lot of brokers.
So as far as we are concerned as a business, they're an integral part of our business. Um, they're more than just intermediaries. They're risk advisors. Uh, Nearly 90% of risk is identified by those intermediaries. So we need to be part of that conversation because we need to advise as well as have advice given to us as to what they're looking for next. We understand this business. Fundamentally, we see you. We value you as customers, but as I've already mentioned, as advisors too, and we're listening to what you need. I think part of what we've done really well over the last few years, and I hope over the last 8 weeks, 9 weeks, is to change the dynamic. We're out there now with our customers saying, what do you actually need? What makes sense to you? Is it a cheaper price? Sure. Is it actually technology? Sure. Is it the ability to make sure that you're going to win at your customers? Absolutely. So there's a fundamental difference here in terms of conversation. We also want to make sure that people understand we are helping the broker community manage their risk. I think people forget that. You've got a tracker in your car, great. Okay, the insurance company needs you to put a tracker in your car. Okay, I'll go and do it. It's about much more than that. It's about managing us being able to help you, help the customer, and therefore help the broker. It's about managing risk much better for the broker. We're really pushing through innovative incentives to help the process go forward. We're really pushing a different way of thinking. We're really having contact with the broker community, and the broker community has to be part of anything we do because it's so critically important to our business. So forgive the diatribe. Simple message is partnership is key. We want to know what you need and where are you going as an entity. What are your strategic plans? What's important to you? And we will be part of your journey going forward to make that journey easier.
That's a great last word. Thanks, Dillan. It was really great to chat to you. I am keen to watch the new Tracker journey under your leadership. So all the best, and let's catch up soon.
Thank you very much indeed. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.